You've heard that love is a choice. Well, we'll get practical today. These are 5 ways to choose to love your spouse. I think the first thing is acknowledging or realizing or maybe even seeing for the first time that it's actually a choice. One of my books is entitled The Love Choice, which was a collaboration I did with the National Speakers Association. And this book makes that point. This is a choice. Until you see it as a choice, it's not. I've seen that some people think that it's just a feeling.
Right.
Until you see it as a choice, it's not. And it includes so many different aspects other than our feelings, other than the emotions. Vicki, you were listening to a podcast once where you heard something.
One of the things I thought was beautiful on that podcast, it said, when you say, I love you, it's not as much as a telling you how my emotions are going for the day. It's a declaration and it's a commitment. So when I say, I love you, it means I am committed to you. I love you. I choose you.
I love that word declaration. It's my way of saying, this is what I intend to do. Here's what you can count on from me.
Right.
It implies a lot of active participation.
Right.
I think I've even mentioned here on the channel before that I had a couple in my office where he pulled me aside. He said, Doc, I just don't love her anymore. And my response was kind of like, well, then love her, duh. Because to me, it's an active commitment or declaration of what you're going to do. So that maybe is the best place to start. We have to see it as a choice that involves our active participation. And don't focus too much on the feelings at this point. I think the feelings follow, but the love is an action. Here's a really practical tip for you, and it has to do with the labels that we attach to things. When you put a label on something, so we've got a pantry, okay? And in our pantry, there's labels on, chips or flour or sugar or whatever, right? And the label tells us what's in there and how we can interact with that thing. So what if the label says poison? Well, you're not going to pull it out for lunch.
No, right.
How you show up depends on the label that you've given to yourself and to your spouse. So a quick example. Complete this sentence. My spouse is... All right, did any labels come up? Because those labels are going to determine how you show up in this thing.
I've thought about this a lot in both spouse and children and so many areas of our life. So it was actually a situation with a child who had oodles and oodles and oodles of energy. And I'd often say, he drives me crazy. He's going to make me crazy.
That's a label.
I'm going crazy. Yeah, it's like he was the crazy maker, right? And I remember just making a choice one day to change that label to say, his spirit is so big, he has a lot of energy to do great things. And it changed the way I saw him. And I like to hope that it helped him grow into the amazing man he is. So if I see my husband as an amazing committed person, if I label him that, then
I'm okay with
when
that.
But then when there's a choice that comes along that you make that kind of tips me over, I'm not thinking, oh, he's my enemy. He did that to make me mad. It's like I remind myself, oh yeah, we're aligned. He wants my best interest. I'm going to have to look at this again.
And then when those things happen, because they will, I promise you, your spouse is going to mess up at some point. When that happens, if you've labeled them in a way that allows you to choose love, then your response is going to be more like, wait, that's not like her. See, because it doesn't match the label. So if I label Vicki to be a sweet, loving, kind person, and she says something mean to me, which she doesn't, but if she were to say something mean, I'd be like, that's really not like her. I wonder what's going on. Do you see? The labels are so powerful. Now, there's another level of this. Because in a relationship, the label that you choose for yourself matters.
Yeah.
I love this lady so much. I don't want anybody treating her unkindly, including her.
I suffer just like many women with kind of negative self-talk. And we have to
Well,
be
we all
really
do.
careful about what we label ourselves.
If I'm beating myself up, then her husband is being beat up. And this isn't good for the relationship. So pay attention to the labels. Now, here's a little practical thing you can try. Pick a new one. Pick a new label. One that serves you well. One that allows you to be loving and to show up as that loving spouse. Pick a new label and try it on.
This is one of my favorite ones. Just a point that we're going to bring up is that just assume the best about your spouse and
Right.
about their efforts.
It's easy to create stories in our mind, and these stories have characters.
Actually, it's not easy, it's inevitable.
But, okay, good point.
We will
You
always
do
be-
have a story.
We do have a story. So if you can assume the best about your partner, then you can kind of, make all of the circumstances around you start to make some sense.
Right. I'm also thinking of a sports analogy because when you're playing a game that involves a team and you all suit up with the same jersey, right? You're on the same team. It doesn't matter who scores if
The
we're all on
team,
the same
right.
team. And so keeping that mentality of we're all on the same team. The enemy is not here. The enemy is out there, and it's us against that enemy. See, this is the mentality. And don't switch jerseys and start playing for the other team. This is your team.
Right.
Another little comment about this piece, Vicki, when you introduced assume the best.
Right.
Assume that they're on your team. Assume that they've got your back. Assume that up front. You don't know what their intentions are. You don't know what their beliefs are. You don't know what their feelings are. Even if they tell you, all you know is what they've told you. So assume the best, and that changes how you show up.
I think that this can be used really well to open up some communication that you have, because if you see your spouse do something and it kind of tips you over, if you go to them saying, look, I know that we both want the best for our family and we want
Right.
this. Help me see how doing XYZ is bringing out the best. Suddenly your
Yes.
defenses aren't huge. Instead of say, why would you do that? Why, so if you come in assuming the best, saying, hey, I know we're on the same team. I know you're committed to us. I know you're committed to our success. Help me see what's happening here.
I love the way you phrased that too, Vicki, because the why questions get us in trouble a
Right.
lot. And it comes from our assumptions. So assuming the best allows you to do just what Vicki said, to come from that place of help me to see and make sure that's legitimate. It's not like, well,
Right.
help me to see how that helps anything.
And it might be that
open.
the decision wasn't the best for the ultimate outcome. You don't know.
Right.
And that kind of brings us to our next point of be willing to be humble.
Humility,
Yeah.
I've got a fun definition for that. See how this fits. Humility is giving up your need to be right in exchange for being open. Your spouse is brilliant. Mine is brilliant. And when I can humble myself and realize, okay, even though I know I'm right about this, and check it out, we know we're right, and that has us treating each other really terribly. So even though I know I'm right about this, I'm going to give up my need to be right in exchange for being open, because this lady is brilliant, and this lady has some great experience, and she knows things that I don't know. What if I could be open to that? That changes things. Tying back into what we led off with here, that this is an active declaration. You will show up as a more loving spouse when you're actively looking for ways to serve.
That brings to mind a saying I have on the wall that was kind of a motivational saying I got from a coach. It says,
It's in our exercise room.
yeah, my husband is not here to meet my needs. He's here so I have someone to love. And I think it's really good to remember that we get to love our spouse. And in doing that, one of the ways that we show love is by doing things with and for another person.
Notice how this has affected you already in your life. Think of a person that you have served, either out of a need or a request. When you step up and serve someone, you are loving them. And it might affect your feelings too. In fact, often it does.
Right.
But the act of service, I believe, is an essential component of truly loving someone, because you're looking for ways to improve or enhance their life. Psychologically, there's a lot of reasons why this is really important for your own mental health. This gets us right back to that active component, my declaration to be actively participating in things like service. That's how I choose to love.
We have lots of programs and outlines and activities that will help you as you increase in the most important relationships in your life. Go look at Live on Purpose Central, and there is a special link in the description that will take you to our platform that has hundreds of resources for you to become who you want to be.
We hope to see you there.
Her head was down, face locked onto the phone.